and we won 9. And so we chose one Vidhan Sabha, focused on Mahadevapura. Congress wins all the Vidhan Sabhas except this one, and in this one BJP sweeps and gets a margin of 1,14,046. We found that 1,250,000 votes were stolen.
The Election Commission's response, viewers, has been very, very steady, reserved, and non-controversial. All they've said is, prove it. Prove your charge, Rahul Gandhi, file an affidavit listing the evidence as the rules demand, stand by your words in black and white under oath. Declare under oath whatever you have said in line with the stipulations. This is what EC sources have told us has been communicated. Sign the declaration or withdraw charges and apologize is what EC sources are saying is their stand. And yesterday, viewers, they sent a letter to Rahul Gandhi impleading him to do that, and even setting what many people believe was a very firm, absolute, inviolable deadline. But Rahul Gandhi has refused. He's come out and said that he's a politician, and every word he says to the public is the gospel truth. The BJP's biggest electoral campaigner, Amit Shah, has seized upon Rahul's reluctance to swear by his own claims. He's come out and said, and I quote, "The fear of losing Bihar elections is driving Rahul Gandhi to make all kinds of unsubstantiated allegations. It appears that illegal immigrants are Rahul Gandhi's voters," unquote. Viewers, a random check by the Election Commission to test Rahul's claims have revealed inconsistencies. Rahul had pointed out the case of 2 voters who he said had duplicate voter IDs and faked their votes. But the EC disproved the claims, raising serious doubts over the credibility of his so-called expose. Here is a list of more hard facts, and I always bring you the hard facts on this show so you can get closer to the truth. Viewers, these hard facts that undermine the robustness of Rahul Gandhi's arguments. I'm not suggesting for a moment that Rahul Gandhi's arguments or his accusations should not be taken seriously. I'm only saying that these hard facts seem to suggest that the charges are not adding up in the persuasive manner that he hoped they would. First, as I told you, EC claims random check on Rahul's claims on voters Aditya Srivastava with epic number FPP 6437040 and Vishal Singh epic number INB 272288 were not borne out. BJP has not lost. Also, viewers, it's very interesting. Rahul Gandhi has talked about this Mahadevapura constituency, but in at least the last 4 Lok Sabha polls, the BJP has never lost. So it is a bastion. BJP candidate PC Mohan's victory margin was 65% in the Mahadevapura, and AC in line with BJP victory margin in previous LS polls. So there is nothing untoward. In previous elections, the BJP has won this seat with 55% vote falling in its favor. In 2024, Congress won, for example, Dhule LS poll, even after losing 5 out of 6 assembly segments. What Rahul Gandhi is saying is that in Mahadevapura, there were 8 assembly segments. The BJP loses all 7 but wins the last one and wins the election, wins the Lok Sabha seat. Dhule, the opposite happens. Congress loses 5 out of 6 assembly segments, Dhule in Maharashtra, but wins the Lok Sabha seat. So it is possible. It's not beyond the realm of possibility, and there are many such seats across the country where this has happened. Rule 20B, says the Election Commission, of the Registration of Electors Rules, 1960 states that the registration officer requires evidence, inclusion, exclusion to be tendered under oath. So why is Rahul Gandhi not doing so? Congress was given a copy of the draft electoral roll, says the EC, as well as the final electoral roll for Karnataka, Haryana and Maharashtra ahead of the Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha polls, but not a single complaint registered with any DM or CEO, Chief Electoral Officer of that state. Why? If there was so much apparent, there is so much wrong, why hasn't anyone ever from the Congress party gone on record? Why no BLO of theirs has filed a complaint? Congress government was ruling Karnataka during the summary revision of electoral rolls ahead of the Lok Sabha polls. You know this, viewers. Nobody from that state raised a red flag. In fact, officials involved in the roll revision are state government officials, deputed to the Election Commission for the duration of that exercise. But none of them came forward. The Election Commission has also cited Supreme Court rulings to show that Rahul's demands of the poll panel are not legally tenable. Rahul Gandhi says that, look, it's very important that you provide us searchable data forms. Give us searchable data forms. The Supreme Court says that the norms don't allow it. The EC says rather that the norms don't allow it, and the Supreme Court has upheld that, saying that electoral roll doesn't have to be searchable PDF. It doesn't need to be given. The other argument, of course, is the EC can't supply searchable format due to privacy issues. Rahul Gandhi says, no, give us the searchable format. Supreme Court's observations back the Election Commission. Electoral roll doesn't have to be in searchable PDF. The other argument, that searchable PDF is not a legal right of any political party. Giving them that is not a legal right. So Rahul Gandhi, I'm sorry, but you're asking for something that is untenable. And the Supreme Court backed the EC, saying that it is up to the EC to decide about the format of the draft electoral rolls. The man, viewers, who promised to expose an epic conspiracy is being accused of classic shoot and scoot politics, firing sensational charges, then ducking the truth test. Perhaps he's ducking the truth test because the facts that he's reduced are not adding up, and there's breaking news coming in on this show, viewers. And let's go to it. This is an exclusive. We did our own due diligence. Viewers, we went to the streets. We looked at the data Rahul Gandhi has put out to see if it matches the facts on the ground. And what can we tell you? The facts are up there on your screens, viewers. Let's put them out. There is an instance where Rahul Gandhi provided details of a brewery where there were multiple registered voters. 68 voters were registered from this brewery address. But the brewery has denied it. Let's go across to our bureau chief who's reporting out of Bengaluru, Harish Upadhyay. Harish, give us a breakdown of what you have found on the ground after verifying yourself personally.
Rahul, two crucial locations that the Congress has mentioned. The first one is the beer street. It's a brewery, and the Congress says more than 60 people have been registered as voters here. Now the brewery is saying that they have checked not just the present staff but the earlier ones as well. None of them have registered as voters here, which means there has been discrepancy on part of the local officials in ensuring that the revision process, the scrutiny that happens, hasn't happened properly. They haven't noticed that there are people who registered as voters. The second is house number 35 in Muni Reddy layout in Mahadevapura. The owner is on record. He says, I do not identify any of these 80 people who registered from my address. Now the BLO says, as the booth level officer says, that there is a possibility that many of them are daily wage laborers who work as security guards and various other odd jobs that they do there. And they might have shifted very often. And over the last 14 years, these 80 people might have stayed at this location. The owner is denying that. The BJP here, the former MLA from Mahadevapura, says that possibly it could have been used as a dormitory, and that's why so many people are reflecting as voters from such a small premises with the same address. But the owner says he doesn't identify any of them. The problem here is now the Election Commission will have to answer on how these people, so many people, have registered from one address. Yeah. The BLO says there was a recommendation that the booth level officer made for deletion of some of these names, and she says that hasn't happened from the Election Commission, and deleting big number of names is technically a difficult issue. That's why they did not do that, and at times people just shift to the nearby lane and
Right.
still want to
So
vote.
this
That's why they
makes
do not
it,
vote.
Harish, thank you very much for pursuing some of these leads and bringing out some of these facts, very important facts, viewers, which makes the case for actually going ahead with an SIR, an intensive revision of the poll rolls, even more important to catch anomalies. And if the Congress leader Rahul Gandhi truly feels he has the smoking gun, why not pull the trigger in a court of law? Why not seal it with an oath? Or better still, face the media and take these fundamental questions. And some of these questions, viewers, are going to be put on your screens. Can internal survey not matching actual results be a case of fraud? Rahul Gandhi says, we conducted so many internal surveys in Karnataka, we were supposed to win all 28 seats, but look, we didn't. I mean, internal surveys can go wrong, viewers. I remember in Madhya Pradesh, Kamal Nath thought that he was sweeping the election on the basis of internal surveys, but it didn't quite work out. The Aam Aadmi Party thought so recently in Delhi too. The BJP thought that its internal surveys were going to give it more than 350 seats, but it didn't happen. The other question, does difference in fortunes in LS and AS, which is assembly elections, be a case of fraud? I've already shown you the Dhule example. There's also the Delhi example. The AAP used to lose the Lok Sabha elections but sweep the Vidhan Sabha elections. Can the Congress party claim that added voters only voted for the BJP? How does it know? Does it know the identity of every voter, that every voter came and told the Congress that, look, we voted X for or Y? Can the Congress party claim that other constituencies don't have anomalies? Is the Congress party effectively making a case for an SIR, therefore in all states, stronger? Let's open this up, viewers. Let's ask some of these fundamental questions tonight without prejudice. And I want to go straight across to Sanjay Jha. Sanjay Jha, look, there are clearly problems, mismatch. We are seeing the poll rolls that Rahul Gandhi has furnished. All the Election Commission is saying is just follow the rule. I've even pointed you in the direction of the rule, Rule 20B of the Registration of Electoral Rules, which clearly states that any complaint has to be put on record, affidavit on oath. Do it, and let's have a, completely transparent exercise. What's wrong with that?
Rahul, good evening to you and to all my fellow panelists. I'm glad that at the very beginning, your channel investigated the case of this pub or the brewery. And that establishes what Rahul Gandhi or the Congress has really claimed, that you had 68 people who were registered voters. And as you have proven, none of them are existent. Exactly the point that he's making. And, we have to look at this issue beyond this typical partisan trench warfare. This is about Indian democracy, and anyone, by the way, I don't care whether you're BJP or any other party, we all want democratic elections to be transparent, fair, with 100% integrity, which means that if I voted for party X, my vote should go to party X. Simple. And we need to ensure that. Now, here is the problem, and I'll tell you why we should all be worried. Rahul Gandhi has put all this out in the public domain. There are presentations, there are videos. It was done in front of the media. And if the Election Commission is not able to disprove them, then please do not blame the opposition at all for calling it the great vote robbery. Now, I have gone through the entire report in detail. So let me tell you, if the Election Commission has been told by Rahul Gandhi that there are 40,000 fake addresses, the Election Commission has to say or disprove that there are not 40,000 fake addresses. If Rahul Gandhi says that in one apartment there were 80 people, then the Election Commission has to say, no, there were not 80 people in that one apartment. If Rahul Gandhi has said that there were 33,692 people who kind of got registered in Form 6 when they should not have, then the Election Commission has to disprove it. Okay. Now, to take this call, and I'll answer the question on the oath, that Rahul Gandhi should take an oath and put an affidavit, I'm sure that process will be followed. But here is the larger question.
Okay.
Can't you see, Rahul, that there is an attempt being made by the Election Commission to stonewall or what is called
I don't see it that way. If you were to ask me, Mr. Jha, I don't see it that way. Look, Rahul Gandhi says, rather tellingly in his comment, and that question was asked of by a CNN News18 journalist called Shireen. She asked him, why don't you follow the procedure? file that affidavit under a sworn testimony, and let's have an investigation. And he said, look, I'm a politician. And whenever I speak in the public, I speak the truth because that is my obligation. One second, sir. That's my obligation to the people. Now, viewers, would you say that Rahul Gandhi is above being economical with the truth? He recently agreed with Donald Trump, for instance, that India is a failed economy. And he means it. He says,
Okay,
I
Rahul,
completely believe it.
quickly.
That's the truth. Is it
Yeah,
the truth?
okay.
Well, viewers, not quite. He said, remember, Chaukidar chor hai. There was that whole thing. The Supreme Court ticked him off. There are other defamation cases where he's accused of misleading people, misrepresenting facts. So I cannot understand why he wouldn't be keen to rubber stamp, to seal his own accusations by swearing by them. Very quickly, because I want to bring in Guru Prakash Paswan.
No,
Yes,
but Rahul, let me answer
Yes,
that.
yes,
Let me
okay.
answer
Yes,
that very
please.
quickly.
Yeah.
Let me answer that very quickly.
Yes, sir.
In politics, we all talk about the public court. You know, the ultimate test for any politician's credibility. And here is the point that he's making, that end of day, if the election commission is able to tell that yes, there were no 11,965 duplicate voters, if the election commission, which has, by the way, been given data, election commission data, that there were no 10,452 bulk voters from single address,
Yes.
if they can prove there were no 4,000 invalid
so- no,
photographs,
but there's
that 1 minute, Rahul Gandhi stands shamed in public.
So one second,
The challenge
one
is
second.
for the election commission.
Okay, one
and
second.
The
You
BJP.
use the term public court. I want to bring in Guru Prakash Paswan here. He said the public court is where you need to be showing that you're winning. Now, viewers, the public has spoken through the ballot. That's the ultimate public court. It is also in the public court given Mr. Modi 3 terms across the length and breadth of the country. We're not talking about one assembly segment or one assembly seat. We're talking about more than 300 seats repeatedly, except in the last election, which by any yardstick was a fair election. If Mr. Modi was rigging, just anecdotally in the public court, having won 2 elections, he should have got 400 plus seats because that was the sentiment. Yet, someone didn't quite capture the sentiment. So all I'm saying is the public court is not, viewers, otherwise we will be holding trials in the public court constantly and hanging people like they do in dysfunctional democracies and dysfunctional states. Public court is a dangerous place sometimes. You can manipulate the public court, but you cannot manipulate the Supreme Court of India or the Electoral Commission's court. So follow the procedure. Guru Prakash Paswan, respond to Mr. Jha. He says the ball is in the EC's court. They can easily do this exercise and show Mr. Rahul Gandhi's. But I just want to say one thing, Sanjay Jha, that in 2 cases, a random check on Rahul Gandhi's claims have been turned out false by the Election Commission. They did it. They checked Aditya Srivastava case, epic number FPP 64374040, and Vishal Singh, epic number INB 272288, and they found that they weren't. Rahul Gandhi showed them as being voters from different states, etc., but it wasn't true. Anyhow, let me just bring in Guru Prakash Paswan. Yes, respond, sir.
It's a
No,
sample,
Rahul.
A sample can be a manifestation of a bigger Malayas.
Rahul, can I speak?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. No, Rahul, I think it's very important for us to understand, and there is a history and context of Mr. Rahul Gandhi doing press conferences in front of the media and showing papers. This country has seen what he did back in 2013 with an ordinance. But I am live from Patna. I'm live from Bihar, where you can say it is the epicenter of the entire SIR controversy or the SIR issue. It has been more than 10 days, Rahul. It has been more than 10 days after the verification of more than 7.25 crore voters in Bihar. Not even a single complaint raised by any political party. Not even a single complaint by Rashtriya Janata Dal, Congress party, or any other political party who were raising slogan against the entire process of SIR. In the last 2 months, in the entire build-up, we saw SIR is anti-constitution, SIR is anti-people, but the Supreme Court of India on 2 occasions, Rahul, the Supreme Court of India on 2 occasions has made this observation that the Election Commission of India is carrying out the exercise of SIR, which is constitutionally mandated. Article 324, Article 325, Article 326 empowers the Election Commission of India to do this. Point number 1. Point number 2, we have to understand that today Mr. Rahul Gandhi is lecturing on the integrity of Election Commission of India. All of us are fairly senior here. We remember the 2009 parliamentary election. We remember Mr. Naveen Chawla, same Mr. Naveen Chawla, who was declared unfit to hold any public office, Rahul, by the Shah Commission for the atrocities committed during emergency. And by the way, this is the 50th years of emergency as well. So this Naveen Chawla, who used to privately call himself as the third son of Indira Gandhi, was made Chief Election Commissioner right before the general election of 2009.
Okay.
Now, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, what is the locus standi? Today, you are talking about the court, you are talking about public court. You come to Bihar, not even a single complaint. And Rahul, when
Not
I say
even
I'm
a
live
single
from Bihar,
complaint.
Bihar is a politically conscious state.
Seven crore, yes.
State.
Politically conscious state.
And you cannot disenfranchise anyone and will stay silent.
That is
Bihar
very
is the
interesting,
same
viewers.
place from where
That
the
is
first
actually,
house of
that is a
resistance
fact.
emergency
Can I
rose.
give a rejoinder?
10 days, 7 crore voters. You would have thought that if the election commission is, Dr. Ranganathan, if the election commission is so derelict, you would have had a whole plethora of complaints filed by BLOs, including.
Good evening, Rahul, and good evening to my fellow panelists. Rahul Gandhi is an expert at what he does with his foot. He either shoots it or puts it in his mouth. But this time round, he has managed to do both at the same time. He has not only lied on all his claims, but also indirectly endorsed the EC's SIR exercise. By the way, I won't tell you what Rahul's supporters are an expert at what they do with his foot. Anyway, let me be honest. India is right now, Rahul, angry not with Rahul, because we have become so used to his lies that it is water off a duck's back. India is angry at Ganesh Kumar, the Chief Election Commissioner, who refuses to exhibit spine and sue Rahul Gandhi for all the slander he is subjecting Indians to by insinuating that a constitutional body overseeing democratic elections in our country is totally compromised and corrupt. Enough is enough, Mr. Ganesh Kumar. If you have an iota of respect for 1.4 billion Indians, you will take legal action against Rahul Gandhi. Speaking of whom, I have said this before. Making sense of Rahul is as easy as consuming rasam with chopsticks. But let me also say this, that the EC got it wrong by asking him to file an official complaint. Voter fraud or duplication is an allegation. Doesn't matter where it comes from, media or a politician. Your job is to investigate and prove it wrong. Rahul can't be faulted for making the allegation. The wrong he commits time and again is to claim that the election commission is totally compromised and is indulging in these irregularities deliberately. Now here is a point by point rebuttal, Rahul. It is very important. Number one, analysis of ECI data shows no outlier duplicate figure. Rahul highlighted one Aditya Srivastava as registered in multiple states, Karnataka, UP, Maharashtra. But this voter is only registered in Karnataka. Any similar names are coincidences, not duplicates. Duplication routinely happens in hundreds of constituencies also won by Congress. Rahul didn't highlight that. Number two, bulk addresses were verified as legitimate. Well, in Mahadevpura, high-rise apartments and hostels list bulk voters at one address legitimately. No physical verification by Congress was presented to confirm fakeness. Bulk addresses are common in migrant-heavy areas. Number three, the 1 lakh total fake count of Congress is based on its internal projections, not verified audits, ignores ECI's routine deletions of invalid entries. For example, EC itself removed 5,000 pre-election in this very segment. Number four, voter list discrepancies in Mahadevpura, a tech hub with high migration, are common due to natural demographic shifts, not fraud. Voter rolls are publicly downloadable. Parties get electronic copies. CCTVs preserve 45 days post demographic shift. There is no fraud at all. Number six, Gandhi cited Gurkirat Singh Dang as appearing in 4 booths, implying thousands of duplicates enabled multiple voting. Duplicates arise from migration without timely deletions, common in Bengaluru's floating population. For Dang, this reflects intra-city shifts, not fraud. Okay. Names linger on, old rolls. No evidence shows Dang voted multiple times. 7, just 30 seconds. 4,000 voters without photos. Well, photos are optional, can be missing due to technical issues. Voters use epic cards or other IDs. 8, misuse of Form 6 by middle-aged elderly voter. This is factually wrong. Form 6 is for any first-time voter regardless of age. The 70-year-old woman example likely reflects legitimate inclusion. Duplicates are flagged and finally 10 seconds. 1 year after Karnataka elections, Rahul unearths 1 lakh bogus duplicate voters. Well, Bihar SIR has just unearthed 60 lakh bogus voters. 22 lakh of them dead. 7 lakh of them duplicate. Does that mean 2024 election results of Bihar should be held unaccountable and fraud because 7 lakh of them were found to be duplicate?
That's a very good point, isn't it, Sanjeev Srivastava? The SIR has shown that there are duplicate. Instead, Rahul Gandhi and the Congress party cheering this exercise, that it has done a fantastic job in detecting exactly what he claims is a fraud. What are we having? Protests in parliament to stop the SIR in Bihar. And now we are told that Bengal will communicate to the EC that they are in no position to conduct one. This is bizarre.
So right now, Rahul, if you don't mind, I'll just focus on Rahul Gandhi's press conference.
No, forget that. I'm asking you, sir, you are a very experienced person.
No, I want to...
I want you to answer this question because this is an absurdity.
Before we come to SIR...
Yeah, I know, because
Rahul,
it is, okay,
the
forget
larger
the SIR.
point
Let
is
me ask you this. Let me ask you this.
Let me ask you what I want to say,
yeah,
or
please.
I can only say what you will ask me to.
No, you found fault with my question, so let me refine the question. So if you allow me, I'll refine it. My point is, coming back to
Please.
Karnataka,
Okay.
the essence of Rahul Gandhi's accusation is that the BJP in this particular constituency won despite losing 7 of the 8 assembly segments. There is a Dhule example, exactly the opposite. 5 out of 6 the Congress lost, yet won the seat. Then he says internal surveys showed we were winning. Internal surveys, sir, show a lot of things. Can that become gospel? No. Thirdly, most importantly, and this is something very, very crucial, after all this time, he still doesn't want to go on record.
So now can I?
Yes, of course.
So, okay. So I have a very limited point. Why is my dear friend Anand Ranganathan answering on behalf of Election Commission of India? He was very right when he said that if the ECI has any respect or self-respect, they should take him to the courts. I would not say that. I would say if the ECI feels that it is really accountable, Rahul Gandhi in his 1 hour, 15 minute or 1 hour, 20 minute press conference has enumerated a series of charges. Why should Sanjeev or a Rahul Shivshankar or Anand or somebody else be answering those issues? Why can't the ECI hold a press conference and answer those and give a rebuttal point by point? After all, he is a leader of opposition. He is not some news anchor or some man on the street. He represents 20% of the parliament and he is the leader of the opposition. So has Election Commission also decided that it will also not hold press conferences because that is the new norm in New India?
Sir, the Election Commission has responded.
There is a specific, specific allegations.
Yeah, those specific allegations.
And I don't buy those allegations, Rahul. Sorry, just let me complete. Everybody got a lot of time. I don't buy Rahul Gandhi's allegations. The only thing, as a citizen of India, I expect leader of opposition has listed these 7 charges. Let the Election Commission come out and deny them point by point.
Very
why
quickly,
no
Mr.
soft
Gawande,
data? Why
before I bring in
things are
Dr.
deleted?
Ranganathan,
Why?
No. Yeah, okay. You made your point.
So
I've understood.
They should deny it.
They should deny it.
Why should
the
Anand
onus
be
viewers,
bothered or Sanjeev
the onus
be bothered
to respond,
to take on with Rahul Gandhi?
Okay,
we are not in the parliament.
The onus to
we are not a
respond
constitutional
is
body.
on the Election Commission. The onus of making robust claims is not on Rahul Gandhi viewers.
Come on oath.
Rahul Gandhi can lie through
he
his
is the
teeth.
leader of the opposition.
He can mislead through his teeth. But the person that he is actually taking on must stand and one second and prove their own Okay, Mr. Gawande.
It will be finished.
Okay, fair enough, Mr. Gawande.
So ECI should
prove
him a liar.
Okay,
That's
yes.
fine. No.
Yes.
We'll accept ECI.
You know, tomorrow,
version.
Sanjeev Srivastava, if I call you a liar on national TV and I go on a rant, you won't want to stand there and say, no, I want to disprove Rahul Shivshankar. You say, I don't want to get into the sewer with him to fight him. That's what you will say. But anyhow, Mr. Gawande, go ahead.
It is not between Sanjeev and
Okay,
Rahul.
one second. Let me bring in Mr. Gawande.
The opposition and a constitutional body.
They are both constitutional office holders. Both have a responsibility for verifying before they speak. It can't be only one. It can't be only one. Okay, Mr. Gawande, very quickly, sir. Where do you come in on this?
them point by point.
Fine. One second.
Mr.
Gawande, please.
Thank you for having me on the show. And let me start off by repeating what Sanjay said at the very beginning. that this is a concern that should be raised by every single Indian citizen, regardless of what political party they belong to.
I'll tell you, it was raised in the opposite direction by Omar Abdullah. He said, stop this, for God's sake, stop this. We cannot be challenging elections like this and shaking the fundamental faith of the people on a falsehood.
Specifically on EVMs.
No, he said it about electoral outcomes, sir.
He talked about EVMs.
Okay.
No, but he said this now when you have...
Okay, so you made a huge song and dance for 10 years about the EVM. When the EVM gave you a different, divergent result, now you've become electoral roll investigators. You can keep changing the goalposts, viewers.
Should be available in a digital format.
Okay. So hang on, viewers. For years altogether, for 10 years, the Congress party, the opposition talked about the EVM. EVM kharab hai, EVM ka bahana, EVM. When the EVM gave a result, which no one was expecting, not even the BJP, then the EVM was quietly tucked away. Now it's about electoral rolls. Viewers, and at every time the ECI has to come out and convince the people of this country because some guy has stood up using his office to legitimize himself and
He's
say
not some
there is a
guy.
problem.
He's the leader of the opposition.
There is, he's using the
42% of the voters.
He is using the LOP's votes to give himself
42% of the Indian
legal
vote.
sanction to make these remarks, but will not make them in a court of law, will not file a case. This is what the EC is saying.
No, the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Rahul...
Okay.
No, the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Rahul, has to say कि राहुल गांधी के दिमाग की चिप चोरी हो गई है, उनकी हार्ड डिस्क करप्ट हो गई है. Why is the BJP becoming the spokesperson for the election
why
commission?
Is the Congress
and why
party,
is the fact-based
why does the
rebuttal
Congress
not being
party
offered?
call Mr. Modi all sorts of names?
Really
okay, this is not a mature argument
to make.
I don't
disagree with you.
A political leader will obviously take on another political leader in the language that they know works. So let's not go into this language issue. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan, 30 seconds and I need to wrap out. Yes.
Rahul Gandhi represents 42% of the voters of the
42% of the voters, so please explain to the voters.
Let's
Fair
not
enough.
insult 42% of Indians.
Okay, yes. Not 42% of India because not all Indians vote, but anyhow, yes. Yeah.
42% of voting
Rahul,
public.
no, my good friend Sanjeev ji asked a legitimate... Sanjay, 1 second please. I have been waiting patiently. Sanjeev ji asked a very legitimate question. He says Anand authoritatively rebutted on 8 points Rahul's allegation. Why is Anand rebutting? Why is Election Commission not rebutting? To which I ask a rhetoric question. Sanjeev ji engages a lawyer or a law firm. Somebody alleges huge corruption and other allegations against that lawyer. Is it not incumbent upon Sanjeev ji to rebut those allegations because you have also taken services of the same thing? It's the same thing. By insulting a
viewers, let me tell you where I stand on this issue. I do agree.
He's insulting us.
Okay, I do agree on one thing. The best way to cauterize this rather bizarre series of allegations is for the Election Commission to file a case. File a case.
Yes.
I do believe what Dr. Ranganathan is saying.
But they won't rebut.
No, 1 second.
They will file
a case. No, the onus will be on them to prove their case, sir.
Why
the onus
can't
will
they
be on
rebut?
them to prove their case. In a defamation, the person... No, hang on.
Why
So,
can't they give a rebuttal?
No. This is important because we can't have it both ways. We can't have a situation, viewers. We can't have a situation... 1 second. We can't have it. We can't have it both ways. Rule 20B of the registration of electorals rules say that if you find a problem, file under oath. We have an exercise in Bihar, viewers. It has gone on for a month and a half. 10 days have passed, not one complaint has reached. After the election, people will start again screaming bloody murder. So, maybe the Election Commission needs to hold a press conference and get into it. Maybe. I'll leave it at this, viewers. Viewers, the foremost question being posed by the Indian public is why US President Donald Trump has decided to go after India, especially since he has a great relationship with Prime Minister Modi. What is Trump's game plan? There are, of course, other questions that are engaging seasoned watchers of diplomacy and global affairs, like, will Donald Trump back off? Or is this a one-off Trump tantrum? Or a sign the US now sees trade as a weapon in geopolitics? meant to even be used against allies. Is this standoff going to impact the Indo-US relationship? Let's talk to Fareed Zakaria, an Indian-born American journalist, political commentator, author of great renown. And he is the host of CNN's Fareed Zakaria GPS. Thank you very much, Mr. Zakaria, for joining us this evening. Now, I want to get straight to the question that's topmost, as I said in my introduction, on every Indian's mind. Trump says this is about India's Russian oil purchases that endanger US national security. Or is India just a convenient punching bag when his approval ratings look to be shaky?
I think it's puzzling what Trump is doing. It is a reversal of really 25 years of American foreign policy. If you go back to the Clinton administration after the Cold War, a strategic decision was made that the United States wanted to be closer to India. That relationship was then built powerfully by the Bush administration, which, of course, paying an enormous domestic price, decided to offer India the nuclear deal. Manmohan Singh worked on his end, it was difficult from the Indian point of view, but managed to do it as well. Since then, every American administration has tried to make ties with India even stronger, and it has been bipartisan. So what Trump is doing is really reversing 25 years of bipartisan American foreign policy that saw a new strategic alliance with India as in the United States' vital national interest, both geopolitically and geoeconomically, to create diversity from China, lessen the dependence on China, develop a strong democratic ally at the heart of Asia. So then the question becomes, why did he do this? I think, honestly, everyone is puzzled in Washington. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Yes, Trump has a protectionist worldview that does view trade as a weapon, but the U.S.-Indian trade is not very great. India doesn't. This would be a very, very small, matter. It would not affect the U.S. much. It's very different from China, and of course, the excuse for the highly punitive tariffs, the India's buying of oil, of Russian oil, makes no sense because China buys more oil than India does. Now, they say China does have 50% tariffs already, but the whole thing doesn't make sense for this very simple reason, Rahul. If India and China didn't buy Russian oil, oil would be $150 a barrel because you would have taken all that supply off the market. It would cause a recession in the Western world. It would cause a recession in America. And Trump surely doesn't want to do that. So rather than working with India to try to find ways to lessen those purchases, or more importantly, and this was the Biden administration approach, which I think is more intelligent, get the Russians to discount this oil even further through price caps and such. Then you end up with, a steady supply of oil for the world, but you don't end up with massive Russian revenues to Putin. So the whole thing is puzzling. We can talk more about the reasons, but I first wanted to mark just what a dramatic shift in American foreign policy this is. In my opinion, a very negative one. Donald Trump has basically taken 25 years of bipartisan foreign policy that saw India as an ally and tried to build relations with it, and thrown it out the window for reasons of either personal pique or some kind of personal interest of his that we are unsure about.
No,
but what we do know is it's very negative.
It would be great if we explore that latter point that you're making, personal interests. Now, let's scratch this itch a little bit more. Could this be a favor to his campaign donors in the United States? Remember, he's targeting India for purchasing Russian oil. We know that energy companies, big energy companies, have bankrolled, so to speak, the campaign, the Trump campaign. Is this now them sort of saying, hey, give us access to the Indian market, get the Russians out of the way? I'm just looking at some scenarios.
So there may be something like that going on. You never know with Trump because it often is highly personalistic. We're dealing with somebody. It's almost like dealing with the dictator of a third world country, where the personal interests, the personal aggravations make a huge difference. Look at the 50% tariffs on Brazil, which are largely because the guy he likes, Bolsonaro, is being tried in a Brazilian court. Now, the President Lula can't do anything about that because Brazil does actually have independent courts that are quite effective. So there's something like that. But let me lay out another scenario which ties in with Pakistan. It is extraordinarily unusual for the President of the United States to grant a military dictator, the head of the Pakistani army, who's effectively a military dictator, a 2-hour meeting in the Oval Office. I cannot recall a previous occasion where that has happened. It happened with Musharraf, but remember, Musharraf was formerly the president of Pakistan. This man is not. The president doesn't normally meet with the head of the army of any country in the Oval Office. This guy got a 2-hour meeting. Pakistan is at only 19% tariffs. And it is reported that there is a crypto venture that the Trump family has with a Pakistani group. So is that part of it? Is, as you say, part of it the energy issue that you raised, which is also a possibility? It's possible that also agricultural interests have but the point is, it makes no rational, logical sense because India is too small. The amount of exports you're talking about are tiny. China buys more oil from Russia than India does. And if both of them were to stop, oil would go up to $150 a barrel. So the problem here is we have eliminated all rational explanations. And so one is left with some personal peak aggravation or interest.
I think you're right about that, and many people have written about this, of course. But I want to press on because, you mentioned the fact that China, of course, does the maximum purchasing. Even the EU does. EU purchases gas, LNG, PNG, all of that. We know the figures. So why has India been singled out? You could have made that larger point even if you were making an ideological point to your base by getting the EU a penalty. So this is remarkably exceptionalist on his part.
Well, and it's worth pointing out, and it's important that your viewers know this, that it wouldn't really work politically in general. India bashing doesn't work in the United States anymore. The general perception of India in America is very favorable. If you look at polling, Americans don't care a lot about the rest of the world, but to the extent they do, India ranks very favorably. Yes, there are some places where there are some concerns, and if you bring up the issue of H-1B visas or specific things like that, you can find pockets of skepticism or resistance. But in general, Americans think of India as a fellow democracy, as an ally, as a country that is also has problems with China. There's an enormous amount of connection between India and the United States, partly because of the Indian diaspora in America, partly because trade has been increasing mightily in recent years. So it's not clear to me that it would be a political winner for Trump. I don't think it's a political loser, but it's sort of neutral. So again, that's why you come back to this very strange decision on Donald Trump to single India out in this way. There are very few countries that have been singled out as much as India. There's Brazil, as we talked about. There's China. There's India. And the United States has built its geopolitical strategy in Asia to counter China around India.
Yes.
The whole point of the Quad was to bring India in as a major counterweight to China. So what he's doing now, by putting India in this small group of countries whom he has, targeted for particular punishment, is he's wrecking the entire U.S. Asia strategy, such as it is.
Yes, that's right. Let's talk about that, because what does this mean for Indo-US relations? For 25 years, we've called India and the US natural allies. That was a phrase that first found its way into the bilateral agreements under Atal Bihari Vajpayee. And since then, of course, we've shared a strategic partnership. We've improved upon the vocabulary there. Could this mark the beginning of a serious rift? I can tell you that the Prime Minister here is very upset.
It could mark the beginning of a serious rift. It certainly means there will be a much more troubled relationship. And I think as I say, it's extremely unfortunate. It is entirely puzzling why Trump is doing this. It's a massive reversal of bipartisan foreign policy. It is worth pointing out, though, that it's a cautionary tale for Prime Minister Modi and for some of his supporters. Many of them overlooked a lot of the frankly bizarre behavior of Donald Trump, the thuggish behavior of Donald Trump, the personalistic behavior of Donald Trump, the illiberal behavior of Donald Trump, because their attitude was, well, he likes India and he likes Modi. Well, the truth is, when you have an unpredictable, erratic, quasi-authoritarian figure in the White House, one day he likes you and one day he doesn't like you.
True.
That is how that type of personality and that type of leader works. And I think Prime Minister Modi placed far too much emphasis on his basic personal relationship with Trump. Perhaps didn't develop the relationship strongly enough. There are some reports that that Trump wanted to have a phone call with him and Modi didn't respond as quickly and as readily as he should have. If you're going to play that game that Modi seemed to be playing, well, learn from Keir Starmer. Be slavishly available and pro-Trump and massage his ego. So you can't have it both ways. You can't rest your strategy entirely on a kind of personal relationship with Trump and then ignore the personal relationship. I think it would be much more sensible to have had a stronger, government-to-government relationship at every level. And then you have the entire government of the United States invested in it. That meant the Pentagon by weaning yourself off some of Russia's defense sales. That meant the State Department. That meant commerce, all of it. But instead, the whole thing was placed entirely on the idea that, well, Trump likes India and he likes Modi. Well, he likes India and Modi until he doesn't. That's how Donald Trump works.
Well, of course, India does have very firm red lines. We've never really opened up our agricultural sector. There are certain things, of course, which are touch-me-nots. But let's just look a little further. The Prime Minister is now going to go and attend the SCO. First time he's actually going to travel to China in about 8 years. Do you believe that this is going to alter the balance of power in the Indo-Pacific, this entire spat now with Trump?
Look, there are deep structural reasons why India is suspicious of the rise of China. China is both very large and is shifting the balance of power in the world, but particularly in Asia. But China has also had a very shall we say, unfriendly attitude towards India. China has resolved almost all the border disputes it has with its neighbors, with the one exception of India, and has initiated hostilities there. So this is not a small matter for India. India, for its own reasons, I think is going to be wary of a very close relationship with China. But I think on the other side, will it mean that the increasingly cozy relationship India and the United States had will be put on hold for a while? Yes, I do. I do think that's likely. And I think it means that India perhaps will come to the decision that while it has geostrategic rivalries with China, economically, they can do more business together. That would be good for India in any event. So I think there will be changes as a result of all this, because I also think, and you asked this in your introduction, I don't think Trump will back down very easily on this. Unlike many of the cases which people looked at where Trump did back down, India is irrelevant to the United States economically. The places that Trump backed down, initially Europe and China, were places of great import to the United States. The U.S. does huge amounts of business with Europe and China. The US does very little business with India. It's easy for it to forego that business. So I worry that Trump will stand firm, Modi will stand firm because he's also a proud man, and this relationship will deteriorate, which will be bad for both Americans and Indians. So because the two leaders have wound themselves up,
Right.
what you're going to end up is, the people of the two countries will suffer from, what was going to be a much, much closer, warmer relationship.
Well, we leave it at this, Mr. Zakaria. Thank you very much for speaking to us. The Prime Minister heads, as you know, viewers, in about 20 days to China. We'll pick up this conversation with Fareed Zakaria in about 20 days. That will be a good time to get an interesting view, because I believe that BRICS and SCO will never complement India's relationship, will only complement India's relationship, but will never supplant the relationship with the United States. And let's just hope that that is what happens as time elapses. Thank you very much. Viewers, we leave it at this. This show, of course, presented by Schneider Electric Smart Home Solutions.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Although the supply chains are not easy to break, it will take some time, but finally this will have an impact of quite substantial amounts on the job creation and other things, and that's what we were expecting in terms of going forward with this kind of bilaterals, and we were hoping that the bilaterals with US goes better than other countries, but currently we are in a situation which is slightly difficult. I'm sure our government will resolve it in some ways with US, which is win-win for both.
What would be a win-win? What would be a win-win situation for the stock markets? Let me ask you that directly. And also, foreign institution investors often react swiftly in scenarios like this, when there is the expectation of a trade shock. Are you seeing net FII outflows intensify since the tariff announcement, and how might this impact NSE liquidity and depth in the near term?
In fact, the FIIs have, or what we call now FPIs, have been particularly sanguine about Indian markets. The outflow post announcement, even from March, April onwards, has not been that great. And that's what is also surprised, but also the fact that US dollar itself is losing value. It's almost gone down by 10% compared to the other markets, and people feel that the first quarter of US after the announcement of tariffs was actually about the inventory being sold, the old inventories being sort of capped and sold. The actual inflation will start coming in, hitting US markets probably this quarter onwards, when the new tariffs actually start getting applied to new material which comes into US. And so there are many imponderables, and most people who invest in India invest in high-tech companies, pharmaceuticals and other things, which are actually very, very good in terms of protecting their stuff, but also that services are not even in the play. So broadly speaking, some portion is about the India play, which is India's own domestic consumption, e-commerce and all, which is doing very well. The services are going to actually increase because of the AI and other things in India. The jobs and number of jobs are going to increase, and similarly GCCs are going to create more jobs. So overall, we do not see that exodus which people predict or used to predict in earlier days, because this is a different situation. Very specific sectors might get affected, and if we are able to create a framework where we are comparable with other similar competition or better in terms of the manpower-oriented activities or manufacturing, which we want to now sort of claim.
So what you're saying, Mr. Chauhan, net, what you're saying is that there's not going to be a mass FDI outflow. That's what you're saying, and that's very reassuring. That's what you're saying, right?
We have not seen any, we have not seen that type of thing.
So let me ask you, because you touched upon a win-win deal. So in your view, what role should India's policy response, whether through counter tariffs, trade diversification or diplomatic channels, play in restoring market confidence? What are you looking at? Today we've hit back by saying that, look, we're not going to procure certain defense systems from the United States? What else are you looking at?
For me, those are transactional issues. And US is negotiating on transaction basis rather than relationship basis. And we have to deal with that attitude, that way of doing things, that framework of US, which was literally the ruler of the world, unipolar ruler, is now coming under multipolar framework, and they are feeling some sort of a threat in their hegemony, if you say. And that's where, for me, we have to keep all this in account, take into account, and also the fact that if little give and take, finally we need to solve this, because China clearly is exporting, literally exporting everything that they have now $1.2 trillion of customs surplus and $2 trillion of manufacturing surplus as per the new numbers. And so they are literally increasing their exports. In that context, we need markets which are able to absorb our services but also our goods compared to China, and that's where we need to somehow solve this kind of, whatever way we can do that in a more amicable way, I would say we should go ahead.
So diversification is the need of the hour, whether it is market diversification for our exports or product diversification to feed exports. Thank you, Mr. Chauhan. This has been enlightening. Thank you very much for speaking to us.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Although the supply chains are not easy to break, it will take some time, but finally this will have an impact of quite substantial amounts on the job creation and other things, and that's what we were expecting in terms of going forward with this kind of bilaterals, and we were hoping that the bilaterals with US goes better than other countries, but currently we are in a situation which is slightly difficult. I'm sure our government will resolve it in some ways with US, which is win-win for both.
What would be a win-win? What would be a win-win situation for the stock markets? Let me ask you that directly. And also, foreign institution investors often react swiftly in scenarios like this when there is the expectation of a trade shock. Are you seeing net FII outflows intensify since the tariff announcement, and how might this impact NSE liquidity and depth in the near term?
In fact, the FIIs have, or what we call now FPIs, have been particularly sanguine about Indian markets. The outflow post announcement, even from March, April onwards, has not been that great. And that's what is also surprised, but also the fact that US dollar itself is losing value. It's almost gone down by 10% compared to the other markets, and people feel that the first quarter of US after the announcement of tariffs was actually
Hello, Namaskar. This is First Post and you're watching Vantage with me, Palki Sharma. After targeting India with tariffs, Donald Trump says there will be no talks. We'll tell you what New Delhi is doing. It's working on a Plan B, which is increasingly looking like Plan BRICS. Prime Minister Modi has spoken to the presidents of Russia and Brazil, and China has spoken in India's support. We'll tell you what's cooking here. Meanwhile, businesses brace for impact. America's F-35 fighter jet deals could be grounded, a direct casualty of Trump's tariff war. And back home, Indian exporters are exploring alternatives. As for China, they may get another 90-day extension in the trade standoff. But this uncertainty is bothering investors. And they have one question. Is it time to buy gold? Also in focus, how a First Post interview has triggered a war of words between China and the Philippines. What Israel plans to do in Gaza next. What is GPT-5, the newest leap in artificial intelligence? Should you be excited or alarmed? Also, the chikungunya virus has put China on edge. We'll bring you a report. And in the run-up to Independence Day, our special series, The India Story. All this and more coming up. The headlines first. Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaks with Russian President Vladimir Putin. President Putin briefed the Indian Prime Minister on the latest developments over Ukraine. Prime Minister Modi reiterated the need for a peaceful resolution to the conflict. During the call, the two leaders agreed to strengthen strategic bilateral ties. Prime Minister Modi also invited President Putin to visit India this year. The Indian government withdraws the income tax bill, which was introduced in the lower house of parliament on the 13th of February. On the same date, it was also referred to a committee for examination. Their suggestions have been incorporated in a new bill, which will be presented on Monday.